So I bought a $2 million spa with zero money down. And not only did I not put up any money to acquire it, I actually walked away from the closing table with cash in hand. I was handed working capital to help support the business for the first few months of operation. Let that sink in for a bit. Most people who are interested in buying a business spend all of their time obsessing over how they're going to fund it. Where am I going to get the loan? Do I need investors? How much do I need to save? But here's what I always say, and people look at me like I'm crazy when I do. Find the right business, worry about the price later. Because if the business has value, if it cash flows, has strong bones, and solves real problems, there is always a way to structure a deal. Today, I'm walking you guys through the real nitty-gritty details of the best deals I've ever done. A $2 million acquisition, no personal cash, no silent partners, no bank loans up front. And yes, I received money back to run the business. What did it take? Strategy, confidence, and how to structure a deal that works for everyone involved. So if you ever thought about buying a business but felt stuck because you don't have $500,000 sitting in a bank or the traditional 20% down for a loan, well, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I found the deal, how I structured the offer, how I convinced the seller to agree, and how I've turned it into a profitable business. So let's jump right into it. The spa I bought wasn't some struggling business on the verge of collapse. This was a thriving, cash-flowing national luxury franchise that was fully built out, beautifully designed, located in a prime market. It had a strong team in place, a loyal client base, and a powerful brand reputation. The asking price was $2 million. Most people would see that number and immediately walk away, but I didn't, because I understood two key things. First, I don't need to pay that money all up front. Second, if I could structure the deal the right way, I could get it done without draining my bank account. What made me confident this was the right business? I took my time and built a relationship with the seller. Like I always say, business is in fact personal. People sell to people they trust, and it's easier when they like you. We had lunches, I met with his family, we went on boat rides, we built real rapport. And throughout that, I got access to everything I needed to verify the business health. I confirmed it was generating over $2 million a year in revenue. Net profit was about $300K. I verified those numbers through the company's POS system, bank statements, and financial reports. The lease was strong with a 10-year term and 2 5-year renewal options. At the time, the business had about 15 employees, but I knew I needed to triple that staff. There were some areas of operations that needed strengthening. I was fine with that. I understood the gaps and I knew I could close them. I did some serious due diligence. I reviewed P&Ls and looked at client and employee retention rates. I assessed the team and leadership, and yes, I had to make some tough decisions, including terminating people who weren't aligned with the future vision. I reviewed the franchise disclosure documents, FDD, to understand compliance and long-term obligations. I also went through customer reviews to see how the brand was performing from the guest perspective. So for me, this wasn't really a gamble. It wasn't a guess. It was a data-backed decision. And instead of worrying about how was I going to afford a $2 million purchase price, I focused on how to structure it in a way that served both me and the seller. Now that I knew the business made sense, it was time to figure out how to buy it without using my own money. I knew exactly where to start by getting the seller to finance part of the deal. I told him up front, I'm not negotiating on price. I was willing to agree to his full $2 million asking price as long as we could be flexible on the structure. That changed the conversation immediately because it showed him I was serious and not trying to nickel and dime. I explained that having seller financing in place actually makes it easier to get the rest of the deal funded. Lenders look at seller participation as a sign of confidence. It tells them the seller believes in the business and believes in me. And in today's market, that really matters, because banks don't just want a good business. They want to know someone else with skin in the game is backing the deal too. And of course, I didn't ask for the full amount. I asked for $400,000, enough to show commitment, but not so much that it would delay his exit. He needed liquidity, but he didn't need the full $2 million up front. That's actually a common position for sellers in that age and stage of life. They want to step away from the day-to-day, but they're still open to monthly income or deferred payment as long as the buyer is solid. So we landed on this, a 7-year seller note at 3% interest with a balloon payment at the end. That gave me manageable monthly payments and gave him the assurance that he'd get his full value just over time. There were no banks involved in this part, just me and him. And just like that, $400,000 of the deal was taken care of. With the seller note in place, I still had a big gap to close, and I didn't want to raise outside capital or take unnecessary debt at this point. So I added another layer to the deal, an earnout, tied directly to the business's performance. If you've never heard of an earnout, here's the simplest way I can explain it. It's when you say, I'll pay you the rest of your money later, if the business performs the way you say it will. It's not a loan, it's not a discount, it's a performance-based promise. So instead of giving the seller everything up front, I tied $600,000 of the purchase price to the spa's future results. If the business did well under my ownership, they got paid. If it didn't, they wouldn't. I structured the earnout over 3 years with clear lump sum payouts. $150,000 if the spa hits its revenue targets in year 1, $200,000 if EBITDA held steady or improved in year 2, $250,000 if memberships and client retention numbers held strong in year 3. I based all of these metrics on past performance. I reviewed historical financials and pulled 3 years of revenue, profit, and client data. Nothing in the earnout was a stretch goal. Those were all numbers the spa had hit before, but they weren't guaranteed. I still had to operate well, retain staff, and keep the guest experience consistent. When I explained this to the seller, they were actually open to it right away. What made it attractive was the upside they saw, that they could still walk away with the full purchase price, but without needing me to come up with $2 million on day one. That gave them the peace of mind and flexibility. And from a psychology perspective, it also made them feel invested in my success, even after the deal was signed. Now, let's be clear. They wanted some protection, and that was fair. We agreed that I'd send quarterly sales reports, maintain a minimum marketing budget to support the guest retention, and give written updates on membership and staff performance. This kept everything transparent and gave the seller confidence that I was operating in good faith. And to be frank, it also made me more disciplined. Having that accountability in place pushed me to stay focused and consistent, especially in the first years when I was still learning the team and the local market. By the time this part of the deal was in place, I had now accounted for $1 million of the total purchase price with zero personal cash involved. So, how did I finance the rest? I still had $800,000 left to cover, and this is where layered financing really came into play. First, I secured $300,000 through revenue-based financing. If you've never heard of that, here's the quick version. Instead of fixed monthly payments like traditional loans, your repayments are based on a percentage of your monthly revenue. That means when sales are up, you pay more, and when sales dip, you pay less. For this deal, the terms were simple. I'd repay 8% of monthly gross sales until the lender hit their target return, which is around 1.4 times of what I borrowed. So on $300K, I'd be repaying roughly $420,000 over 3 to 4 years, depending on how the business performed. This worked well with this business because spas can be seasonal. There are peak months and slower months, and I didn't want fixed payments hanging over my head during quiet season. RBF gave me flexibility and breathing room. Next, I explored SBA financing to cover the remaining $500,000. Now, here's where most people get tripped up. If you want the SBA to count a seller's note as your down payment, that note has to be on full standby, meaning no payments for at least 2 years. In my case, the seller did not want to wait that long, and I understood that. So instead, I used my own commercial real estate as additional collateral. Because of that, the bank was still comfortable moving forward, even though the seller's note wasn't on standby. SBA rules aren't always rigid if you have other assets, credibility, or deal strength to back you up. Lenders still have to follow SBA guidelines, but they do have some flexibility in how they structure risk. Now, why didn't I just go all in with SBA or all in with RBF? Because it's not always smart to rely on just one funding source. SBA loans take a very long time. The paperwork is heavy, the process is slow, and I didn't want to delay closing. On the flip side, RBFs are pretty expensive, but they're fast. So I blended both. It let me spread the risk, preserve cash flow, and still move quickly. By the time I layered the seller note, the earnout, the RBF, and the SBA, I had fully structured a deal for $2 million with no personal cash upfront and full control of a profitable spa. So at this point, you might be wondering, well, Jen, why did the seller agree to all of this? Because I bought more than just a number on a purchase agreement. I had a full plan. I showed up with a clear roadmap for a smooth ownership transition, a staffing and leadership structure that gave the team stability, a commitment to protecting the brand's integrity and reputation, and most importantly, I understood how the business actually worked, not just how it looked on paper. For a seller who was burned out and ready to move on, that was more appealing than dragging out the sale trying to find an all-cash buyer who didn't know the business or care about the people inside of it. I also didn't try to negotiate him down. I offered the full asking price. I just spread it over time and tied it to performance. That gave him security, and it gave me flexibility. And when a deal works for both sides, it gets done. If you're wondering, how can you do a deal like this? Here's what you really need to know. This strategy isn't about finding a loophole. It's about thinking like an operator, negotiating like a partner, and structuring like a deal maker. Here are the 4 things that made this possible and what you'll need to. 1, operational credibility. You can't just want to be a business owner. You have to either know how to run a business or have a team behind you who does. When I walked into the deal, I could speak the language of spa operations. I knew the systems, the pain points, the staffing models, the guest flow. That's what gave the seller confidence, because he knew I wasn't just guessing. I was ready to step in and lead. Number 2, negotiation skills. Most people walk into a deal thinking it's all about the money. It's not. Deals get done when you solve the seller's problem. In this case, he wanted to exit cleanly, protect his team, and still get his value. I didn't focus on price. I focused on structure and showed him how he could get paid in full over time without dragging out the process. Deal structure knowledge. Number 3, you've got to know the tools. Seller notes, earnouts, SBA loans, revenue-based financing. These aren't just buzzwords. These are real financial levers that let you control how a deal gets done. And when you understand how to layer them properly, you stop playing the game like an outsider and start structuring deals like a professional. You don't need millions in cash. You need to know how the money moves and how to move with it. And if you know how to layer them, you can put together powerful deals with little or no money down. But you have to do your homework. You need the language. You need to understand what lenders want, what sellers care about, and how to balance both. Last but not least, you need a cash flow mindset. This is the most important one. You never want to buy a business that depends on hope. You want to buy a business that cash flows on day one, that pays its bills, that supports its teams, that funds your debt. That's how you buy a $2 million business without writing a $2 million check. Look, this isn't a beginner's move, but if you got the experience, the discipline, and the mindset to run a real business, this strategy can completely change your life. It changed mine, and I'm not that special. I just knew the right questions to ask, and I wasn't afraid to ask them. So yes, I bought a multi-million-dollar spa with $0 down. No outside investors, no upfront cash, no shortcuts. Just real strategy, layered financing, and the ability to solve a seller's problem with confidence. This isn't the kind of playbook you learn in business school. Most people never hear about it because they don't know it exists, or they don't know the right questions to ask. But I'm here to change that. If this opened your eyes, drop a comment and let me know. And if you want to follow up where I break down a live deal, show the actual seller script I use, or walk you through how to structure one of these for yourself, just say the word. I'm Jen Clark, and I help real entrepreneurs do real business. Subscribe, stick around, because we're just getting started.